welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. It's here on Kris. How are you?
What's going on, man?
We were talking earlier about the third wall or fourth wall that I had seen you previously in Gargantua Soul and enjoyed your music and didn't put two and two together until we were just talking now. But we're going to talk about your project now. It's a really cool band. You want to introduce it or talk about it a little bit? You want to
Yeah,
hop in?
you saw in Gargantua Soul, and I'm now in a band called Engineered Society Project out of Houston, Texas.
Very cool. I've been checking out the music. I've been digging it. So hopefully we can turn some more people onto you guys uh,
Very cool.
from this episode. Let's talk about the band because did you say I'm trying to get an idea of who the members are because I'm looking at the website and what's going on. Like, so who are the members in this band? Let's
So
start there.
we're four-piece. We have Sean Salinas on drums. We have
Hmm.
Timothy on bass. We have JoJo Brown on guitar, and we have me, Kris Keys, on vocals.
And is this a newer? Is it a newer lineup? Is it,
The newer lineup, actually, before me was Tim Ripper Owens, um, the guy that got into
Priest? Yeah. Oh yeah.
and yeah, so I'm filling some big shoes here. I'm really excited. We actually just played with Ripper at the Milwaukee Metal Fest, and that was one of the best. I can't believe how great that show was.
I keep hearing how good the show is. I heard the whole thing was really good. So,
It was
so actually,
it was transcendent. It was put together so well, and I can't believe you'd hear oh, and then everyone would come up to you and go, "Hey, how you doing?" So you expect like this negative vibe? All the sound people, all the engineers were some of the nicest people and most cooperative situations I've ever been in. And like you said, I was in Gargantua Soul, so I've been doing it for a little while.
yeah, like a hot minute. How did you end up singing? I didn't realize that this was actually Tim was singing before. I know he sang on some of the songs. I could see in the credits. Like I thought he co-sang on a few things just because bands always overlap or have other guest singers. But
Right.
he was in it 100% before you.
I am not really clear on that. They had the guy from Ronnie James Dio playing drums at one point. And I'm not exactly sure what the story is. I just know that I really dig a lot of their old stuff. And I was really happy to come together with them. And really, we've sort of become our own band. We've taken it to an original place because I enjoy their old stuff. But working with them, it's sort of like taking it to a different place, I think. It's a
Well, it
little
sounds
heavy.
like it's different. It sounds a
Yeah,
little different because, well, if Ripper was in it and then you had the guy from Dio, like it seems like a lot of other musicians gathering together from other known bands. But then it seems like a lot of you guys have now have evolved, taken
yeah,
it and
yeah.
kind of gone somewhere different of your own with it now.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I was in a band and in Portland, Oregon,
Hmm.
and it completely went south. And wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was like, wow. And actually, the band was really doing well, and a lot of great things were surrounding the band. And it's rock and roll. And I got really lucky. I flew out to Texas, and I went in there, and we actually wrote. We started writing like right away. We were like, this works. And I look for the magic aspect to music, when it's really because really Gargantua Soul is definitely magic. I mean,
Oh yeah.
me and Opus finish each other's sentences. He actually just texted me, and he literally is more my brother than my real brother. And when I walked in this room with Engineered Society Project, we were like, "Yeah, man, we're on the same page. We vibe with each other because chemistry is important." And
Hmm.
literally, they hit me with a riff they were working on, and that's actually we immediately started writing my TV. We were already by the time I'd finished my audition, we had a song called "Fly on the Wall," which is on our EP. That the basis for that was already there. So some people you're like right away with. Some people, hey man, I've been with people that I can't work with. I've definitely so it's definitely not every musician that can work together.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's important, especially if you get along, because if you're not making it's even harder now. When you're making the same kind of money. You really
Yeah,
need to slug it out. You better be enjoying it and enjoying that person. This isn't the
yeah.
days when you're in a stadium where you can be like, I'm not dogging the Rolling Stones by any means, but like when the when Mick and Keith aren't getting along, they can afford to take their golf carts and go elsewhere and take a break. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And,
dude,
and bless, and bless them for being that big and doing that. God, be able to play guitar and do that, that's awesome. But level for most musicians, either 99% of the musicians, there's no golf cart from one side of the club to the other. You're in the
yeah,
van next to each other, and you guys better behave. you know?
you're in the trenches, you're in the grind, and I'm a music documentary freak, and a good one to reference is The Police. Like
Yes,
those
yes.
those guys were literally like physically beating each other up.
Could you
And
imagine that? Like just punching your other musician in the face or something? That's
I was
crazy.
I was in a band of fighters. Like everybody was a good fighter. And
God.
one time I saw like a physical altercation. Only one time, because really, just know how inappropriate it is, and really, um, but yeah, one time I was in a situation. But I'm a documentary freak. It's another good one is the Who, like dealing with Keith Moon, dude.
Yeah.
How crazy would that be?
Well, that was the thing. Like it used to be. Well, back then it was more like getting drunk and fighting each other, and then it
Yeah.
evolved to just Oasis or like the Black Crowes or like other bands nowadays. They just or even Van Halen, the brothers with fist fight.
Uh,
But then you can't touch the brothers, but they fight each other.
yeah, yeah.
But with Keith Moon and back then, a lot was just drunk, and when you become drunk, you become like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde behavior. You
Yeah,
know?
he was so crazy. A great one I love is like watching the Eagles documentary and the old guitar player and Glenn Fry. They actually had a microphone on stage, and
Oh,
you're able to hear. You wait till we get off stage, man. I'm gonna kick your ass.
that's insane. Like they weren't even they were like Linda Ronstadt's band. They were
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
Eagles before that. So I mean, they lucked out so many levels. I mean, they're talented for what they do. Man, you get to that point as a musician, you think you'd be a little happier, like a little bit. You know what I mean?
And my example with that is watching MTV and seeing David Lee Roth, one of the founding members of what I consider one of the best bands that ever happened. And he had to go back to working as an EMT. And literally, think about it. You're in Van Halen. I don't care what your
He
reason
didn't
is.
have to. He didn't have to. He just wanted to.
Oh,
He was
really?
well. He was rich before even visiting. He came from a family with money. He just
Uh,
did EMT because he wanted to. Then he also moved over to I think Japan, and he learned how to do all kinds of stuff. He's just
but
very eccentric.
what I'm saying is like, for me, like you're talking about
Yeah.
being with a band or whatever. For me, it's where I want to be. I actually I wrote a song once that went, I want to live in a rock and roll band. I want to sing just as loud as I can. And that's the bottom line. It's like every aspect of music, whether it be writing, whether it be performing, whether it be recording. I love every aspect of it really, really deeply. And that's really why I've stuck with it. For me, Opus is a workaholic. Opus is another one of those guys who stuck with it because a lot of our friends, even from Gargantua Soul, you look
Yeah.
at what and they're not doing this anymore. They're not going for it, anymore. And Opus is like me, like we're still in the grind. We're still doing it. We still deeply love it.
Well, I think it just depends on what kind of person you are. And, you know, whether you're a musician for life or you're a musician and it worked out well at the time of your life as a fun hobby, you can make some money, it was fun, but you have other aspirations. It's just people are just different.
Yeah.
What's crazy is like nowadays, a lot of musicians are like I speak to are like you, where it's no more about the stories about getting drunk and doing other things. It's like the nicest musicians work with the nicest people, getting the best gigs. Like rock and roll has become so polite.
Together with these guys, and immediately we had a good chemistry. And then I walked on stage with them, specifically JoJo Brown, and he's got a transforming thing. Like he's not that nice guy anymore. I'm not saying he's mean, but
No,
he's a different person. I love that kind of thing, man. Because that's what I'm
it,
like.
I think it's important. Alice Cooper's like that. He said that. He's been known to say that. He's like that. Alice Cooper on stage is not the same guy anymore. I think at one point it was, and almost killed him,
Right,
but not
right.
anymore. It's. I mean, there's different types of rock. I mean, there's like serious rock and fun rock and shoegazer rock. But the real with the rock we come from is like with entertainment. It was like Zeppelin and Van Halen, and there's a lot of other stuff too. Alice Cooper. There was
Well,
a
no,
show to it. It was a
I
show to
think
it.
I think that's an industry thing too. Is like when you think about Jim Morrison walking on a beach, you think about I think about a label or an A&R guy going and saying, this is what it is. I'm going to incubate this situation. And that's where you get people riding down hallways with motorcycles. You get trashing hotel rooms because basically you're incubating a child mentality. And now I think musicians have to become business people along with
Yeah.
along with incubating that sort of creative thing within themselves. So I think that's where you lost a lot of the fighting, a lot of the craziness,
And I think
just really wild. And my life was like that, though. I was sort of not thinking I was going to live until by 20. So my life was actually just like my stage show. My stage show was insane. And my life was like that, too. Now, to that point, I do still I just played this metal fest and like, witnessing even myself is I still like to maintain that energy and that child, that's there. I don't want to lose that,
right. No, but it's not the same. I mean, well, if it's just you, it's just like, look at me, look at me. It doesn't give as much credit as to friends, family. Oh, this is exciting. The whole momentum. The street team does that.
Sure.
Fan energy does that. Could have filled a club. And you need that nowadays.
So on that note, there's so many integral parts of it. Steve Wynn is and actually I got to look up the studio that we record our stuff in because I definitely want to like drop that name. Um, Basically, having a great engineer, having a
Yep.
great producer, having people that are integrally part of the system is completely
A good publicist, a good company that
public.
supports you. You need a good company if you because you're on tour, no one pays you. I mean, sometimes despite some of these things, bands have done okay with, but if you have any weak link, you know that it hurts the rest of everything.
Well, another one is trusting the people that you get involved with because literally think about Billy Joel. Basically, Billy Joel's, I believe his married in brother
Oh,
was became his manager and then stole all his money or something like that. So
yeah,
literally,
something like that. That is insane. He has that's what he's playing now, isn't he? He's trying to like make up some money he lost because he got ripped off. Oh,
yeah, imagine that, dude. Imagine Billy Joel. I mean, how many big things that and having to go back to whatever because the people you trusted or the people you allowed into your camp freaking robbed you, man. So you got to trust the people you're in. And now, on that note, I definitely want to um, mention some of these names. Steve Wynn, I'm almost positive is his name, the man we recorded. But I gotta talk about the studio. We trust to you know record our stuff and basically it's completely part of the team. Let me see if I have here. Um, Bring it up really quick.
if you
Just,
go too long, you'll hear the music like from the Emmys go on in the background to walk you off the stage.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just, I'm just joking. I'm just joking with you. Take your time. The show's about giving people credit.
yeah. He recently recorded Houston, Texas. Okay, his name is Wynn Davis. All our songs are being mixed and mastered by Wynn Davis and Steve Ornest with Total Access Studios in Redondo Beach, California. And this is someone that Timothy Moss is very connected to. That's our bass player. So
Mhm.
as you start to develop your sound, as you start to develop your who you're going to work with, like these are like I would say it becomes family. Basically you go this is like the family that I trust, and that's why it sucks so much for Billy Joel because he actually trusted his
Yeah,
actual family.
happens a
So
lot though. If you look back though, I mean, it's happened to a lot of people.
yeah, money can obviously corrupt.
It can, but I mean, but it's exciting. It's exciting. You're performing. You sound fantastic. The band sounds good. You have a great name. I love the name. When I first heard it, I'm like, all right, I'm interested. Like, because a band name can kind of like you can be like, oh, really? Because I don't know. I'm 52, so I don't know if we're close to the same age. And we were actually talking about this with Opus when he was on. Like, remember, we used to get excited when you're kids and you go to the record store and it didn't matter the name. the album cover got you, like because we didn't have nothing else streaming. You know what I mean? Remember that? You go in there and
Sure.
this guy looks awesome or whatever. Nowadays, you can hear everything, so you better have a good name to catch you because there's just so much else out there to begin with, and a good thumbnail. Like it's not like our days when we go in there and be like, "Look at this Metallica album, look at this, Megadeth album. This is awesome. This must
Yeah.
be good." Like that's gone.
Yeah. Right. I'm from the hardcore scene, and literally
Okay, so yeah,
my first band's name was Red Death. So
yeah,
second band's name was Allegro Thrash. And then it turned into Cat with a Mohawk. So I completely agree with you that yeah, the whole thing is about pulling people in. I basically I want people to know that I did my job, that I basically wrote good things, it sounded good, it looked good, it had a good name, and I definitely don't want any part of the game to be slacked upon. I want it all to be, and I agree. I think it's a great name.
it's only a good name, and that's the website over here on the site. Sorry, I'm not like ignoring you, but as I'm looking at it, it's I want people. We'll have the link. That's what I always do. The link will be underneath YouTube and on the podcast. But it's a great website. It's you can click anywhere on the top. It's going to bring you to the to any of the topics, or you can just scroll through it as it's like one giant revolving page, like a conveyor belt of information. You know,
And it
it's great.
connects you right to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/engineered society rocks. That's our Facebook page. We need more and more likes. And really, doing a show like this, it's basically in the beginning stages, and it is just as we were talking about. It's reaching out to people who
Yeah,
support original music and that want to help us fight this game. And like I said, the next thing we have planned, we're booking some shows right now, but the big, really next thing we're planning on is going to Europe with our friend Lord Bishop. We're going to be playing, and you just need to have. I mean, literally, I want to be connected to all my people in America because this is the first time I've played out of the country, but it's really the first time I'm doing like a extensive tour. So when you have that street team or your fans connected to you, it just is. It's people have to know that it becomes very important for the band to have their fans connected to them.
yeah.
Wherever.
I think it's really important. Did you? So when you started off, I don't do soup to nuts, but when you first started out, you've always been a singer, or do you play any instruments also?
So I started out when my mother wanted to be a country singer. And she came from a time where her mother thought that that was insane. So my mother very unhappily went on to become a nurse. But sure, this is something I heard because my mother passed away, but I heard from her sister. So my mother actually, I believe, lived through me. When I came in the world, by the time I was 5, I stepped on stage as a tap dancing singer. And so really singing, and that was my connection with my mother. Basically it was her dream, and now here I am, a part of her stepping on a stage. So it's really always been singing, and I play a little bit on the piano, but really singing. I mean, I really wish I could play piano and sing, but I'm more of a singer.
Yeah.
uh, Playing a piano would be confining, I think, for me. I think just my resonation of my voice is what I get off on and what I'm giving to the people and connecting to the people.
Well, some singers also play like a little bit of guitar and a little bit of bass because it helps them write down their songs, just like in rough, not even being like a shred level, just to be like I have an idea. I don't have my Ingve guitar soloist with me right now. I got some ideas I want to lay down. You know what I mean? Like
I rough it
different
out. I
chords.
definitely rough stuff like that out on on piano. Like if I want to do something, I definitely I have like a piano in my room. I'm not a piano, a keyboard, and I definitely am into co. When I'm writing, I'll write a melody maybe on my keyboard.
We probably that really probably makes it really melodic. You get a really heavy band, but if you're writing your melody on a keyboard, it's pretty hard to write a heavy melody.
That
You can because Van Halen's Unchained was written on a keyboard. So,
really, oh,
oh
dude, and
yeah,
that's anytime you have like in this conversation, anytime you have those references, I literally every day But you know what though? I'm actually me and Opus were just talking about that. All he watches is documentaries. I may not be interested in something, but I'll watch the documentary. But music documentaries are
I've
really
seen, yeah, almost every music documentary ever, almost every music book. I'm just a sponge.
so any music documentary references in this interview, definitely use them because I could probably hit you right back and go, "Oh,
Yeah,
really? Well, Eddie was my
yeah,
my bass player Timothy just called me. He can't get on the interview for
really.
some. Why can't you get on, Tim?
Because I was in an area of Houston where we had a storm and it must have knocked out some of the reception. So I couldn't get on Zoom and it's not working. But if you can talk to me through this, I'm fine. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
can you
I can actually, I can hear you. I can actually hear him say that. Yes,
can you
we
hear
can do that.
Sean?
You hear me?
great, I'm fine.
All
I'm
right,
sorry. I
game on.
apologize.
How you
Um,
doing? Welcome aboard.
but thank you. I'm doing very well. I was picking my car up at the detail shop, so I couldn't even
Yeah.
leave until thrilled.
Well, we've been talking about the band and about now we're just gonna go back and forth about all of our documentaries and all of our music stuff as we were talking about a lot of musical references at this point. Um, comparing past stories to newer music stories. How the world's changed now.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Go ahead and say it again, please.
We were talking about how the music's kind of going back and forth, how the world's changed from old rock and roll to new rock and roll. How now it's more of a hard work thing.
Yeah, definitely it has. It seems to be less of appreciation for real talent, although some of the metal guys are still really good. But overall, it's been a little bit alarming uh, how much it has changed and what it's produced.
One of the things I've noticed, and I was starting to say this earlier, is through my show, what I've learned is a lot of the best artists and the nicest artists are a lot of the artists from the 70s, 80s, and like up to the 90s are the most open to the fans, most open, hard worker. You know, that they're the most team oriented spirit than pop people or any other genres. It's crazy. It's always the rockers. They're still the ones that are just in it because they love it. They got time for everybody. It's insane, really. You know.
Yeah, I found that to be true too. And of course, I think a lot of it is that those of us that have been playing for a long time have had to work really hard to get any kind of success in the business. And it wasn't something that happened overnight and it wasn't handed to us. So we're very respectful of the business and those who are in it.
That I do. I do agree. I think, and unfortunately, there's a couple of younger bands that aren't as. I think they want to be rock stars, but they're not. You know, I've come across that too.
Well,
Where,
actually, I think that as we've been talking about as time goes on in rock and roll, if you go back to Frank Sinatra had a walk on stage with a 40-piece orchestra and they had one track to record on. Now, so that means they had to know their game. That means they had to practice. That means they had to be together. And especially with someone like Frank Sinatra, who's like a mafia guy or something, you get
no,
whacked
no, right.
for not playing your tuba. But now, if you see what we have now is we have 1,000 tracks. We have with technology. When a kid is growing up in music now, he has 1,000 tracks. He can overdub. He can auto tune. He can do this or that. So he doesn't have to really know his instrument like as rock and roll went on, like he at other times.
Yeah, I think a new smaller battle. I don't know if it's going to be a big one, where lines are drawn from certain fans are going to be just like with Napster came out, like the streaming battle, how it kind of dissipated. Now the debate is live to music to tracks, and we're seeing that with Motley Crue debate. We're seeing it with some other band that got totally beat up for like they couldn't do their show because they lost their laptop, which is totally crazy for a band to say out loud. Even if it was true, you sprained your ankle and going up to see, something happened, you got a car accident or something. I don't know. So that to me is not cool. Your live band. I'd rather hear a band suck live than just
Well,
program it.
I
You
think
know,
days everybody is so worried about being perfect. And that's one of the things that I like about Engineered is that we're not perfect and we know it. And what you get is what you get on our records, we didn't spend 20 hours a song recording them. We didn't have that much money. So you're getting a pretty raw recording, although it was recorded in a great studio in California or here in Houston or something. What you're getting is pretty much, straight up second take. And
Well, it's
because we're not
important.
about it being perfect.
I mean, look at some of your favorite bands growing up when they first started off, when they had no budget and they recorded it, and how crazy those first albums are. Once they got successful, and they had these budgets for like 8 months, a year in the studio, you know, it didn't change anything. The music got kind of sterile. It didn't make things any better. It just put more pressure on the band. I mean, why do you think it took so long for Chinese Democracy to come out? The pressure on that and on Axel was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's like 18 albums worth of material he did. He just didn't release it because I think he had so much on top of him. I don't know personally, but I'm saying I can imagine, you gotta keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. I think if you
Yeah.
just do it in a week or two and you send it out, those are some of the best albums.
There's a album by the Eagles called Desperado, and I always use it as the example. As literally as they started recording, you hear somebody go, "Hey," and they left it in. Basically, great music is capturing that moment. And to this band, just talking about the players I'm playing with, the last sound check we did, and we've heard this a couple times. This has been a compliment. I got taken outside at the Metal Fest, the Milwaukee Metal Fest, and the first compliment was, I was like, I thought I was hearing a recorded track. So that's
Good.
that type of the great musicians. We are people who have practiced our thing. So basically, we're not trying to be perfect in a sense, but it's like we know what we're doing, and we're not coming in there expecting somebody to change or turn up or turn down something to make us better. We're there to bring the noise.
Um, what is the plan on this? So you're talking about going to Europe. So recording music, you have some stuff out now, the My TV. What can fans look at or people don't know? What can they do to roll up their sleeves to get into you guys, check out what's going on? It's summer, they can see you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we want to play everywhere. We want to play everywhere. So right now we're investigating, being a brand new band, we're investigating different places where we can play, and we're looking around Texas. We're looking at different opportunities, and we're very open to bringing people our
Very
music.
cool. Any guys doing like any more singles or EPs also added on to the summer or any videos or anything, whether it be lyric videos or live stuff, kind of keep the social media out there.
Yeah, social media is a
Yeah,
constant. Go ahead, Timmy. Go ahead, Tim. Can
we
you
do
hear me?
have a couple of. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting every other word sometimes. But yes, we do have two videos that will be released this year. There's a lyric video that'll be released in a couple of weeks with our overseas announcement. And we
Mhm.
just finished a video for the song Peace in Houston. Kris was down here and we finished that. It will be released sometime around probably before Thanksgiving. So we're going to continue to push My TV, the record, and all the songs on it, and see what kind of reception we get. We want to keep the buzz going. We've been very fortunate to gain a lot of interest in the industry, and we want to try to keep that going, obviously. So that's what's up.
Like we're
Yeah, I
talking
mean,
about old times and new times. We're definitely in a time of social media. And I even have another friend who's putting together sort of like a home sweet home music video for us. So we want to have constant,
yeah.
social media representation, but really it comes back to getting out there live and reaching out to the people and being there live in the room with people. So we're investigating all angles with our label, Combat Music. No, it's a Combat Records. It's Mind Snap Music with Opus, and with a
Mhm.
couple of people, we're investigating the best places to play, and the best places to get right in people's face and kick it live.
I think you need to do both nowadays. You have to play, you gotta get people. But as we learned with COVID, if something the world changes now for any reason, we've learned you still got to keep afloat. And if you can't go live, you still have to have some kind of presence, whether you know it's
Yep.
doing stuff, streaming online, live concerts online, selling your merch. So, and a lot of artists are going to the waterfall releases where they'll have an album or they'll be writing an album, they'll be releasing it every month or two, another song. And at the end, then they collect it together. and maybe put it out as a vinyl. That's kind of things people have been talking about a lot lately.
Yeah,
I'm an I'm an album guy. I kind of like everything at once myself. So I mean, but I'm not the target audience, so I don't get a vote.
so the album guy, actually, our distribution is Von Artist, and the guy who runs Von Artist, his name's Larry Touring, and he's a huge album guy. You know, he collects records, actual vinyl. I've heard, there's always the rumor that vinyl's coming back, but
Oh, it
sitting
is
and listening,
back. It's back.
sitting
There's
record from beginning to end. I mean, it's such a, you look at some of the great albums of all time, and I mean, literally, when a band gets it, when a fan gets into you, they do want to, even though we are in that time of releasing one song at a time. I mean, I hope and believe that there are people that get into your stuff and want to take the adventure with you, you know?
I think the rock people do, and actually, I can say the I think vinyl actually outsold CDs this past year. So
Wow.
so yeah, vinyl is back.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually, Metallica just bought a record factory to make their
All
own
it
records.
does is the cost of the production of the vinyl. I mean, hell, you're looking at $10-15 a unit to produce it.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
It depends. Yeah, I mean, yeah, how many you're printing and stuff. Yeah, it depends on who you get. Yeah, but I mean, it's a fan thing, and it depends on the band and where they're at, and you know, if it costs you that much, and you can everything get under 20, and you can sell it for 30. You know, if you
Yeah.
sell a lot of them, $10 a piece of merchandise for a piece of music is quite a profit nowadays.
Right.
And the model is, and I've seen a lot of artists that are touring artists that will do instead of trying to get the big platinum album, if they have 1,000 fans that buy it, they're making more money. We've talked off the air, they've made more money now than when they were in the big record deals. This is them doing their own albums and touring and selling stuff on their own site.
Wow.
So it is a new business model. It is doable. I think everyone's kind of finding their way through the woods, each artist to do that. But being a band like yours is the only way to do it. And that's the kind of band that's going to find a way to make that profit. Without needing that. It's kind of putting your nose to the grindstone, working with the people. That's just
Good.
the only way to do it.
You say that. We've been just kicking it around, and being a new band, merchandise takes a little bit of time to get things. We've got a couple of T-shirts and some pictures, and getting lanyards and patches and things like that. But we'll definitely look into it, and I really appreciate you telling us that, because I often wondered how that's working, because the front end cost, and with all of the rest of the cost of the band, it's like, oh my God, we're burning money in the fireplace right now. But
well, it is like that, and that's the thing. So it is a bummer knowing you guys are in Texas, because I thought you were still from around Connecticut, because I was hoping to see you guys sooner, but it might be a
Oh,
while to see you.
Want to definitely come out to Connecticut, and we want to come out to the East Coast. And I'm definitely, really thinking like what the optimal situation is back there, because at some point we definitely I want to come home and meet all the old people and get some new people. So, and like I said, ESP Engineered Society Project right now is completely open-minded. We see it as a world thing, especially with heading to Europe. We're seeing it as we want the world to hear our music.
Yeah, probably have to hit like the New England Metal Fest or something. Is that what it's called? They have a couple of those big festivals. Yeah.
Oh, the festivals, like I said, this Milwaukee Metal Fest was so awesome, man.
Yeah.
And festivals and colleges to me is where it's at.
Yeah. I think you guys would do good, but I mean, nobody knows until you do it, though. So, and that's quite a gamble.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a booking agent. I couldn't take the stress, but
Well, that's what we're working with right now. We're talking to some different. Actually, after we get off this, we're going to be talking to a friend of mine who is sort of joining the team and wanting to help us out. And like you said, it's a gamble. You never know what someone can do and what their motives are and stuff.
yeah, and it is. And Europe's a different thing now. The price and the cost of Europe is different. It's hard for the musicians from Europe to come over here. It's it's a challenge.
Yep.
But I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. And I want to encourage everybody to check you guys out. Check out the links, buy the merch, check out the band when they're around.
So the big link is www.engineeredsocietyproject.com. And then the other link is facebook.com/engineered society rocks. And we are now through Combat Records. We're on all social media. We're on Spotify. We're on Reverb Nation. We're on all platforms. And basically, we are through Combat Records, which is also distributed by Von Artists. So we're everywhere right now available, and we open up this conversation for everybody, man. If your scene is going on, we want to come play your town. So literally, get in touch with us through Engineered Society Rocks on Facebook, and let's open up some conversations, man.
Great. And people just can click the link. Thank you guys for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Laughing Monkey. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.